To begin the finale for our game, we first need to track whether the player has accomplished its goal, giving each of the correct items to the 3 NPCs. Now, we have a way to track this already because in the control object in the game start event, we created this NPC state enum, and now we can mark our NPCs as being done. Now what we're going to do is add some further code to actually track whether all 3 NPCs are done, and then move on from there. So open the control object and go to its game start event. Head to the top of the event, and we've got our game variables code block. Let's add a new line here. We'll call this global.gameover equals false. And we'll use this as a control variable to determine whether we're ready to move to the end of the game. Next, let's open the control object's step event, and I'll just make this full screen. In the switch function for checking the sequence state, we have checking for whether the sequence is playing and whether it's finished. Go to the case for seqstate.finished. Now we're going to add a nice big code block in here, so I'm just going to paste it in and explain it. And it's called check if NPCs are done. So it does a quick check for that new variable that we just created, global.gameover, and it checks if it's false. If it is false, it's doing 3 checks on one line. It's making sure that the baker, the teacher, and the grocer all still exist, again, just to be sure. And then we've got this nice long check here for each of them where we say, is the baker's state done? And is the teacher's state done? And in the grocer's state done? This definitely is a lot to check on one line, but it's a visual way for us to quickly see what we're trying to do. So if all 3 of those things are true, if all 3 of them have been set to done, then we remove control from the player, we set an alarm, and then we change the value of global.gameover to true, which is going to restrict some other things. We're going to create this alarm 0, and in it we will create an instance of that game over sequence that we just designed. Now, we could just copy and paste the code that we wrote before in the text box object. In its alarm 0, we have this code to deal with creating a sequence for something else. But as we've discussed before, if we're going to be using the same code over and over and over again, it might be better to turn it into a function. So in the next step, we're going to create a script asset to allow us to create a sequence from pretty much anywhere and then apply it in a few cases.